Welcome back, everyone, to the Paladins Minor League, but of course you just saw it. It was Hi-Res Expo panels, competitive play, as well as cosplay tournaments. Competitions, I guess, is really what they have for that one. The tickets are available now, so you can go through and buy those, and you're going to want to get them fast because they do go by pretty quickly. So you're going to have to make sure you get yours sooner rather than later.
Yeah. I like the style today, man. You know, just calm it down a little
Calm
bit.
it down.
I just got
like
a shirt
this color.
like that very much, actually. So
I was actually surprised because, like, when I got this, it was in like December. This sleeve was like a lot tighter than it is now. That kind of surprised me. I haven't worn this shirt.
Now you know
in a
what
few
you
months.
could do. You get a little, you know, roll it up. Get, like you're kind of
Get in the
casualized.
nitty-gritty.
Yeah, nitty. Here's what we need to talk about today. And then you can kind of go into whatever analysis you're going to make.
Actually, I don't mind that. I think I'll keep it like this for the rest of the day.
Okay, cool.
Kind of keeps it nice, cool, casual, relaxed.
So I'm your stylist now. So
Yeah,
that means
officially.
I need a fee, upfront fee for sure.
You know what? You can invoice and a bill on that one.
Okay, I
and,
will.
That's how we'll keep it.
Bring
You
it
look
up
at the
with him.
standings. Hey, looks a lot like Europe. 5-1-5-1-1-5-1-5. The bottom two teams right now are tied up at -10. A 4-map differential between Sanguine and Nation of Power. And of course, for those of you who might not remember, Sanguine is Ferocity. Nation of Power was Downfall. If you haven't watched it for a few weeks, it might be a little confusing, so just kind of keep everyone up to date on that. And this first one that we're going to be looking at is going to be Sanguine and Zenith.
Yeah.
And Sanguine, a couple weeks ago, made a couple of changes to their roster that were beneficial for them, as you can see, sitting at number 1. But Zenith has been in the one, a lot like Bork, that have just been in a constant turmoil. In fact, speaking of Bork, one of the players from Bork is now on Zenith, and it's Toa.
Yeah, Toa, I mean, Alex Zombie, for those who don't remember going up against him in the casuals and just wrecking you. I mean, who the heck is this guy? It's so annoying. But mad respect, though, for the grind because it did end up working out for him. And I think Toa, obviously not on Bork, but moving on, hopefully to better things. I mean, I think Bork has gone through a lot. Anything like what they went through where there's dissent amongst the ranks, where there's morality questioned as far as, wait, I'm just trying to do this, but can I even justify this? I don't feel ethical playing here or with this person or how that operates. That'll throw a team into a loop that you probably just have to clean house a little bit in order to get back into a solid ground, because it's easy to hold on to. Toa, instead, he went and found a new place to land. He's a good player. He has flexibility in the blaster class. He could also play different things, and he's popped off a couple times for Bork. So although he's not a very consistently high-level performer, he has seen glimpses of being successful. So I'm excited for his future here.
And one of the other players they picked up, and this one actually kind of catches my eye because if you've been watching for a while, if you've been playing for a while, you might have encountered Toa in one of his various names.
Right.
But if you've been watching for a long time, either competitively or just, himself, Ozone has kind of come back into the competitive scene and is playing once again and still is bringing, I want to say, a really classy Cassie to the screen. But it's still one of those things where it's is it enough to bring Zenith up a level?
I mean, it was enough to bring that Nara up about 8 stories. I don't know what kind of disengage loadout he's running, but that girl went up high. And so I think, Ozone, he's definitely been a good player for this team. And, as far as in his history, he's got what it takes. He's done it. What it is now is, that guy who's coming back off the ability to take a break and then just get feeling confident, feel good again. We know where he's been, what he's done, what he means as a leader and as a player. So it's just a matter of if he could put it together.
Well, if you want to draw matchups for this, it's not only just Zenith versus Sanguine, but you can look at these players we've talked about. Toa as kind of the flex tank coming into this. We just saw playing Makoa, I think, in most of his highlights, but has a really mean Ashe, has a lot that can go through with Ruckus as well.
Yeah.
But he's going to be kind of fighting over those roles with Flame on the other side. And Sanguine, Flame, again, another player that was, a sub for G2, played a lot of DPS role, but has made the switch to this frontline and has made her look incredibly good.
Yeah, and one of the things that's you could tell he's probably a good decision maker because he was very much involved in the coach role as well for G2. Somebody that they brought, I believe, at the last LAN when Sakai was unable to make it. And one of the things that was, a testament to his ability was to do that at the high level and have the respect of players who have been doing it the longest, a.k.a., Cuss Cutie and Doe and those guys, and then to say, yeah, we think you can run a good ship. So that should give you enough of confidence that in the PML he should be able to do what he did there and more. And now playing the aggressive off tank, which is one of the harder decision-making classes to play, I think this is a good fit for him.
And then if you want to look at the other matchup, you've got Ozone and he's going to be pretty much boxing out with Neo most of the time. Might end up not being quite the 1v1 that he expects, because sometimes Neo comes in and plays something like a Bomb King, but he does have the Cassie.
Yeah.
Believe he plays Leon a lot as well, so like there's a lot that he can kind of dig down into that might interfere or at least kind of box out Ozone.
Like I said, I just gave a lot of positive words to Ozone, but there's levels to this, and I think Niu has just continuously performed at a high level, and he's not really taking those breaks, right? He's been at LAN. It surprised me and Nick all the way last year to when we saw him and his squad get an offline win against that roster of SK Gaming at Vegas in I believe, March. So he has shown that he has the stuff at LAN. He's shown that he has the stuff online. He has not taken any breaks. He's stayed grinding and stayed motivated. His Cassie has looked a level above everyone else's, admittedly. And he has the flexibility to play blasters. This is a guy that is not a one-trick pony. So unfortunately, this is going to go the way of Niu unless Ozone has the most incredible day in the world. And it's possible, but I think obviously this is going to be a uphill battle for the boys.
Possible, but difficult. Either way, no matter what, you can lock this down and you can make it look good. We're actually going to end up going to Frozen Guard first, which is an atypical map to have in the first two, honestly. It's not somewhere we go often, and so trying to choose this early on, presumably Sanguine kind of coming here, if you know this map, you know it well, and you win it hard.
I think this is a good map that shows a lot of people's draft and coaching ability, and I think the ability to also recognize faults in a plan, because it's a map where you kind of are one and done. You could slow pace it, but basically whoever wins the fight, it's like Fish Market. You can zone so well that you can't really get back for a second chance very easily. So it's very one and done. It really tests your ability to adapt mid-fight and make the right decisions. So I think this is going to be something that probably leans a little bit towards Flame and the squad, but it's something that you can also get surprised on, because if you make the wrong decision, you can get punished very heavily.
So far the draft's pretty much, I want to say standard, but at the same time I think Sanguine have been able to drive this exactly the way they want to, right? You have Khan and Aldamba, you're literally not showing a hand. Like, this is like probably the easiest, most like you're just like, cool, whatever DPS we get, Ashe, Genos, and now the Cassie coming through, which I think is an important pickup, because we had mentioned that being, you know, the matchup between Neo and Ozone, but that's admittedly where Ozone's been, I think, the most competitive.
I actually agree, and my better judgment is telling me to continue just with the talk about this draft, although I was spurred to say something, but we'll save it for off broadcast, I'll tell you. Eevee here at this point is a decent pickup, but it's not typical. I mean, let's put it frankly, it's not a typical pick, but it will give them backline dive, and that is something that you ward off in case you expect maybe a Kinessa to come through. You need it. I mean, that's what snipers can do here. They can really put you in a very bad position. And we'll see if they call the bluff. No, it's actually the Maeve. So I like the adjustment on the adjustment, saying you're going to take some mobility, so will we.
I actually like this mainly because Eevee comes in, and for me it's exciting to see maybe a different blaster come in, potentially for Neo, just because Bomb King was banned away.
Yep.
But Maeve is Zenith in my eyes, having done some homework, watched the Premier League, seen that Maeve can work on this map and can do work on this map if played properly, but there's only one way to find out how it's going to perform, and that is to be able to jump into the game. Before we get there, we go down to Dave and Nick to kind of show us whatever they have before the game starts.
What do we have?
That's what we got.
Just a couple of cute boys down here in the booth, huh? Came for some games, huh? Stay for the ah!
Oh, I pulled something. I pulled the hammy.
Oh no, coach, take him out. Take him out. Get us in the game, baby. We gotta go game one. No. Dave needs to sit down. It's a lot physically taxing here after such a under the weight of such a heavy matchup, Sanguine versus Zenith. I mean, come on.
Under the new banner, Sanguine for the first time. Frozen Guard bringing us into it as well. I like the Maeve pick though. I'm interested. I'm intrigued in the Maeve. We've seen it a few times, Nick. We've seen to varying levels of success the Maeve, but I think it could be a difference maker here. Ozone, Toa now obviously on the side of Sanguine, used to be on Bork, now over here for Sanguine. Mage Monkey Ninny kind of staying the same, but I do like the Maeve. I think the Midnight is usually enough to throw the other team through a loop, so I'm excited to see how it plays out in this one.
Definitely have some opportunities to get executes on these big, thick targets. Khan, his shield will do nothing, but he does have the battle shout, which is maybe a way that he can look to immune that. Ozone is not concerned with the tanks right away. Where is he? He turns his sights back to Inara. If that's going to present itself to him, bounces back across to the safety of his team. Getting low here, might be able to go for that execute just short, but the daggers will do it anyway. First blood goes to Ozone and the boys of Zenith.
Zenith, Ozone's able just to kind of wrap around the backside. None of the Sanguine members looking over towards the Mave at the moment. And that's just enough space. It's just the continued dagger presence onto the Inara is enough to find them an advantage just as of now. And the daggers keep flying, and some of the health bars are starting to go low, but the zone is on.
Look at this. So it looks like, judging by the little comic book numbers, he switched to Cat Burglar off of Street Justice and won't be going for the execute. This just kind of poke and prod style, dashing away now as overtime starts in favor of Zenith. Ferocity, or now Sanguine, excuse me. Gotta get used to that. The far and away favorites here in this matchup. So for them to be down against Zenith early on is a big story.
We definitely expected it to go the same way as the first couple of matches, I think. Neo, though, always a guy you have to look out for on the Eevee, but again, this Ozone on this Mave, and Cat Burglar especially is able just to utilize that movement, utilize that momentum, keep himself in just enough of an annoying spot. Some ultimates starting to fly here. The Dread Serpent as well as the Assert Dominance is going to start off this fight.
Assert Dominance from Mage Monkey. It's a critical one that they needed bad. Time and space comes out, but it comes up dry. Another kill, and another kill. Zenith just piling on at this point. But they can't get this overtime to reset. You can see how far. Look at that overtime bar. It wants to expire so bad, and it will finally. Zenith managed to grab the first payload.
And what a start from Zenith. I don't think any of us would have expected them to come out looking this good. Made some roster moves. And then look at the slash lines as well. Only Neo on the opposite side finding any sort of presence offensively on their side. 2 kills for him, but zeros across the board. Flame Effects now adds 1. But coming out of that first team fight, they just weren't able to find any sort of offensive pressure. The Mave was enough to throw them a little off kilter. Just a continued pressure from so many different points from Zenith. Really just won them a long, drawn-out engagement there. Some ultimates starting to get popped here as well.
That was very long. I mean, it's almost 3 minutes on the clock when that one gets captured through. A lot of ultimates that were able to be fully charged and used during that first point fight. But it just, to me, felt like Sanguine didn't exactly know where they wanted to go with that. They had 4 people fighting for control of the ice wall, whereas normally you do that, I think, if against the Leon or like to get her control. So maybe that's what their end game plan was.
Didn't really work out, though. I mean, we saw that in that first engagement where you said it. I mean, there were 4 members of Sanguine essentially up along that ice wall trying to buy themselves a little bit of positioning, and they did do that, but in the meantime, their Inara goes down, and that frees up Zenith to just sit there and farm up percentage onto the point there. Ozone essentially had 0 eyes on him while he was just chipping away at the health bar of the Inara, and it worked out in their favor this time. Through time and space, it's going to come up. It's going to snipe out 1. It's going to snipe out the Eevee of all people. And Zenith now have an opening to potentially push this one in.
Baller Steve almost gets taken down, has to dip back into the spawn door just to grab that healing. Edgem forced away. Everyone very, very spread out, sprawling through this frozen guard base. Quick Assert Dominance under the door frame here to make sure Mage Monkey can stay alive. Keep pressuring out this Leon. Little commander's grab there, nothing to worry about, but the ultimate's expired. Damage can come through onto Ashen. No kills have been gained as a result. It looks like a failed offense.
Just buying a little bit of time there with the Assert Dominance. Get some healing as well. Mage Monkey's actually going to end up being able to clean up a kill here, and now Ozone's going to look to get aggressive. A couple kills from Mage Monkey opens the door, and Ozone could actually help get this one pushed through. But big kills from Sanguine stall out this offensive push.
That was so close. Like,
it was. That was very close.
And like even like Genos' damage may have made a difference there. That Eevee, incredibly low. Ozone timed those daggers very, very well, and will take top damage after that first round by a decent margin. Considering there's a Cassie and a Leon in this game, for Ozone to be top of the food chain right now at 5-2 is crazy to me.
I agree, and honestly, some of it, I'm very interested in seeing kind of the difference in play style that we've seen out of the Mave. I mean, it's either the Executor or the Cat Burglar is all that we've seen come through, and more recently though, it's been the Cat Burglar. It's been sort of that just agile, point and click. I mean, I guess they're technically, it's kind of a hybrid between Blaster and Hit Scan. Because the daggers have a little bit of a travel time, but Ozone playing it perfectly in this case in that he's able to utilize the mobility and utilize the dashes to keep himself kind of out of the sight lines of Sanguine. The Midnight's going to come out, and this is going to buy them some space. Some confusion now coming out from Sanguine. Zenith have kind of sniffed out their rotation.
And in the first round, I think that's the big X factor was how fast the Sonara died to the Mave. People just aren't used to the dagger damage at this point. Edgem does find the first kill. Regardless of all that, Niju slips one over on Ozone and now rotates back down to the objective. 33% for Team Zenith, but they are losing this fight in a big way. Cassie's not even reacting, being blasted by the Ice Staff. Barracks getting tossed around, and that's the Sanguine we know. Basically a 5-for-0 over Team Zenith.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's the Sanguine that we're used to seeing. Neo makes some big plays, finds some big damage on the Eevee. Now the zone comes out. This could be over with. 63% in climbing here for Sanguine. And that's just Eevee feeling a little bit more comfortable. The Midnight comes out, but Sanguine was far enough away, essentially, at the beginning of the fight to prevent too much offense coming in on the opposite end. And Neo and the rest of the damage dealers take it over from there.
And that's the power of the zone here for Sanguine. They lock it down after just one fight. Granted, it's a 5-for-0 fight. It's very, very clean. Toa answers one back, but unfortunately the payload is already rolling. It's chosen its fate this time, and it's on the march against him.
2 minutes left, though. Still lots of time on the clock. The payload's finally made its way out here. Look at ultimate utilities. Zenith have the Midnight. It's back up already. Dome Shield as well as the Assert Dominance for their defense here. Dread Serpent, Overpower, and I think Overpower is pretty important here. This is going to be interesting to look at how they utilize it. The Midnight's going to buy some space here. The Assert Dominance is going to come out as well, so Zenith's starting off this defense with a lot of utilization. The Overpower gets canceled out there by Mage Monkey. Unlucky.
Ozone gets to live as well. That's tough. Overpower getting nothing is a recipe for disaster. That ultimate needs to get some type of value, even if it's just holding somebody still in a corner for 6 seconds. And your team can move around the map freely elsewise. 126 now. Very aggressive little full court press here from Barrack. I don't know if he's going to see the other side of this one. Ooh, whiff!
Oh, it got a couple, though. They were too stunned up on the backside. Now the rest of the damage could potentially start falling through here from Sanguine. Neo's going to be the one who looks like he wants to get aggressive here. Is able to clean up Toa. But remember, Nick, this is just a fight to get back onto the point. They were essentially pushed back, locked into their base. Now they're able to get back, get onto the payload, get it moving forward. They didn't really utilize too much the Assert Dominance. The Overpower gets used, which is unfortunate because it gets pretty much stunned out right after it comes out. The damage chart's still looking similarly to how they were on the first side, but kind of notably is Mage Monkey on the Ashe, and then that's a big difference maker, I think, in this fight and why Zenith have been able to hang out and hang in as long as they have. 64,000 damage is good for third place in this game, above a Leon, above an Eevee as well. Mage Monkey playing that aggressive frontliner role so well, and buying Zenith some time and some space. That's really kept them in this one.
21 seconds now on the clock. Got to do it all almost in overtime at this point. Maeve just scurrying away for her life. She will keep it. Parrot falling lower and lower. Nobody really low on Sanguine right now. Eevee up and down. She's going to spike a lot of different ways, but Genesis just trying to keep this together. There's not a lot of sustain pouring out from this healer. Here comes the fear as we head on into overtime.
Down goes Nini to start off this fight. It's going to be tough for Zenith to come back. Edgem as well finds one. Mage Monkey is now in the eyes of the Leon. She's going to go down. Looks like this one's going to go through with only Jostles left. On a successful push, Sanguine finds some space. They find point number 3 here for them. And they're back, I think, to the form that we kind of expected coming into this one.
Big plays from Team Zenith, though. I mean, this is a squad that has made roster change, who has continued to improve. They had Toa this week, who was very, very good, and the guy that they needed, I think, because they didn't really have a very dedicated blaster presence. They didn't have somebody to play this Eevee, this Bomb King, and frankly now the Pips. I mean, you got to ask a lot of your blaster player nowadays because there is so much in the meta, whereas it's almost the opposite being true for the hit scan guys. You have your Cassie, you have your Leon, and things like that. Ozone's flexed onto the Maeve this time around. She's never played a gigantic part of the meta, but she's definitely been around before.
That's a really good point you made. I mean, there's almost a more valuable look being placed on Flex and kind of blaster DPS players in the current meta. You look at guys like NIP. I mean, we always talk about it. We always talk about their spiciness and their draft and all those sorts of things. As the Overpower comes out, it's going to be good this time. And the Assert Dominance comes down as well. So some ultimates are going to be used to start off this fight. Here's a seismic crash. It's going to go into the dome shield. That's going to be good for a couple stuns here. So Sanguine on the front foot.
Toa trying to duel out against Niu. Gets a big heal into the ice block. He will go. Comeback mechanic, though, is putting Team Zenith in a good spot to capture this payload as they are leading 81 to 9%. Toa sneaks one all the way from the low ground to take down Leon, but look at all this damage from just a Nara. I mean, Toa's better watch his step. These tanks are nothing to mess with.
Definitely not anything to mess with. Sanguine, they're okay, honestly, with Zenith getting some early percentage onto the point, and they show that because they trade out, essentially positioning in the fight, and they win the fight, and now they're back on the point. They're about to take the lead percentage-wise. So they're okay letting Zenith get a little bit of a lead here on this point. They are now firmly in control. There's the fear as well. That's going to send a few running. Ozone drops early on in this fight. Sanguine could take it away.
Big fear there as well, just to keep it going. Jalen's Sanity's damage on the objective has been real from this Nara. Look at all that healing. Pops the Earthen Guard, gets the pocket from Damba and the battle shout from Khan. So much auxiliary healing coming into play there for Sanguine. They hold it together down the stretch, and they kind of return to form in the next two rounds.
So. I mean, early on, that is not what we expected to see out of Sanguine. I mean, they came out, the Mave, I think, killing off the Inara is really the big kind of thing that went wrong on the opposite side to start things off, but finding their form later on.
Yep, sometimes those picks can have that surprise factor where you don't really know how they're going to be playing out. Ozone did the little switcheroo with his talent at the start, so everything was kind of kept under wraps. Let's get it back to the desk, see what they thought of Frozen Guard.
I thought it was a much more interesting start than this set was kind of slated to have in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
And it does come down to the fact that, first off, Toa was not playing the off-tank like I thought it was going to be. He's switched to DPS, which is something we've seen in the past, so it's not too unusual.
Yeah.
But Ozone on this Mave, getting the first blood and making such a huge difference in round one.
It was good. I mean, he took the task on. Maybe he's going to be that flex for this team, and you would assume that Toa, maybe being more in the traditional DPS role, will allow Ozone, with maybe just the years, just the time put in playing Paladins. Although they're both big grinders, you know, it's hard to say that someone beat Ozone in terms of the amount of time played Paladins. So he's going to have experience across a bunch of different DPS options. But it was really, again, Niu on the Eve that made the big difference. Edgem able to clean it up. We have that. We talk about this. Somebody creates the pressure, somebody finishes the pressure. That Leon, Eevee, that back and forth tag team combo is so dangerous. And Niu and Edgem played it perfectly.
And being able to, at the very end of this round, like that was 100% going to be a Zenith push, except for some really excellent play from Sanguine.
Yeah.
That was kind of the start of the return to their form, as the casters were putting it. And the one thing I want to point out that I think is more interesting for me, like, over the last week or so, there's been a highlight and us mentioning like flank pressure is not something to mess with. Like, you need to have a flank if they're going to have something that's good in the back line. Both of these teams showcased how important a flank can be in your game.
Yeah. No, and I think flanks are there in the game for a reason. And I think, you know, metas may shift. It may be slightly more traditional or safe, but it's not necessarily optimal if played at the best of its ability. This is something to consider in terms of just the design of the game. Flanks are intended to do a role that damage characters aren't really able to do. And what they do in these drafts is to play a little safer, they'll get a Genos, they'll get a Tyro, they'll get a damage amp here. So this damage character can do the burst of a flank, but blah, blah, blah. They'll use the talent that gives them that. That's very much how we see competitive play out. If it's a triple tank, we'll see, you know, this tank can do the damage of a flank, but it's safer, gives us more time to heal. And these things will be part of how competitors really try to game the system. But at the end of the day, flanks have a specific purpose that nobody else has in Paladins.
True.
And one of it is mobility, and one of it is burst damage. And those two things that you can maybe get somewhere else, flanks usually do it a little bit better in both those regards, and utilizing them is a key component if you can.
Well, being able to kind of go through, Sanguine do take the first map. Maybe not as clean as they thought they were going to, so I'm interested to see how things shift when Zenith maybe is in the driver's seat. Being able to go to Stone Keep, this is going to be, I think, as standard as you can get. Like, if you get rid of Bright Marsh, you get rid of Frog Isle, you kind of leave yourself open for maybe 3 maps. Stone Keep being one of them. Sanguine still going to be first pick on this one. But I'm curious to see if anything interesting comes out from Zenith. If we maybe get a sniper, if it's going to be kind of Cassie, if maybe another flank comes through.
Yeah, I think that's probably the good look at here, because Niu seems, obviously the Eevee is the flank that everyone, Eevee and Zen are the two flanks that everyone really feels comfortable bringing out in many lineups, especially if you have someone who can play all of them. But you also, you know, see this Mave having impactful moments, and some of the PPL opportunities, but then also here we saw Ozone really did do a good thing. I mean, he went 5 and 9,
yeah,
but it was effective in certain ways. Real thing here though is Zenith, they ban the Leon instead of the Torvald, and Sanguine, they take the buff and then they don't take Torvald. So this is either hyper confidence or they draft the Bomb King feeling like they'll be able to deal with whatever threat shows up. But man, you risk Cassie Torvald there, you risk Zen Torvald, you risk a lot of things. And Geno's still not picked up either.
Just earlier, I was actually talking to Finch because he was like, oh, Koga's still open. Is that his big threat? And I was like, if Torvald is banned on PC, Koga's not usually the biggest threat, right? He's going to come through every so often, but not too often. When Torvald is online, though, it makes Koga a lot more deadly of a champion. Even with some of the nerfs he's received, having a little bit speed come from that bubble. You get the health from the bubble. You get the damage amp from the bubble.
Right.
Plus the fact that he has dashes that are immune. The fact that he has an ult that doesn't mean, like, it just, he has some big of a safety net. It's almost hard not to do well.
Oh, and I don't mind the Drogos either. You know what? This is a really good way to take advantage of this Torvald because he's going to hit very, very hard. One of the only things that can help Drogos' Fire Spit hit harder because it actually applies to abilities, not only just your weapon attacks. It's the only thing that damage amps your abilities also in Paladins. So the fact that Drogos can use this, Stone keep a decent map to poke and prod, I would expect, although I could see Combustible here, I actually would expect Worm Jets, but I could see Combustible here being pretty valuable, especially with an Inara. You know where she's going to be. BK is kind of an easy target to hit. He has that one moment of mobility, not too much.
You'll get the horn.
You know, and Fernand, I mean, this is a pretty scary lineup from Zenith. I think that although Sanguine may have the players we would bet on, Zenith have a lineup that can do some work.
I don't know if Zenith planned to get the Torvald, but that worked out so heavily in their favor with the rest of their draft. Like, a Leon ban to me means that Drogos has been planned pretty much since the start of the draft. They knew they wanted to go for that. Able to add a Luminary boost and a Torvald boost to that makes it a much more deadly pick. So Zenith going into Stone Keep, looking good draft-wise. Let's see if they can keep it up in their play.
Well, guys, as we get into game number 2 here, a lot has changed for sure. Have not seen a Torvald Talus in many, many moons on PC. We saw a little bit yesterday on console. So maybe the boys of Zenith taking a page out of that book, realizing, and this used to be a popular combo when these characters could make it through more often, but the introduction of 2 bans per side and all that type of stuff, and actual buff to Torvald, 3-second base duration on the shield, rocking the new skin for Drogos.
New Drogo skin. Ooh, that is shiny and clean. You gotta love it. I'm looking at Zenith's side. I mean, you look at the Torvald, you look at the Genos. I mean, those are 2 things that would make a lineup in and of itself. And then you have the mobility of the Drogos, and then you have the mobility and the flank ability of the Talus. Got a lot of ways that heads can get turned here for Sanguine, but they find themselves a couple early picks. Neo and Jalen Sanity are going to combine for a couple. They're going to get on the point to start things off.
Dude, the sounds on that skin, too.
I know, it's wild.
Actually so sick.
I need it.
It's the first time I've been able to hear them, but gotta love it. I think that's a Twitch Prime skin, too, as well. So if
you're right.
If you got that rolling, you can maybe hop that in, because Garrett was very surprised that we actually are giving that one away for free. For those of you that do qualify for the promotion. Trade here from Ozone on the Talus. The Torvald Talus combo has not proved to be an automatic win condition, at least out of the gate.
You'd think it would be. And a few weeks ago, I think if this lineup got drafted, it even might have been. At the end of the day, Sanguine just play their lineup better. They find the high ground early on, and that's a big difference maker here. They zone out the flank. They clean up the Talus. They find the Drogos up high early on as well. They find themselves on the point. And, well, they find themselves point number 1. It's just good team rotation, good communication, obviously, spotting everyone out, putting their damage in the right spot.
It's dangerous, man. A lot of action coming out of this Bomb King right now. They wanted it first. They wanted this first quick Bomb King so bad. They know Toa, the new member, a little jolt action. We know Niu, very confident Bomb King player, loves to knock people off maps when possible. If we go to Frog Isle, you expect them to run this back. Only jolt 2 as well. So you only need a couple points to really make this a very impactful part of Bomb King's kit.
Just something so funny about that. He just heaves it way up in the air. And then like 5 seconds later, it comes down, and you see a couple members of Zenith just get blasted back a little bit.
Nobody's doing that. Nobody really uses that element of Bomb King's kit anymore. The offensive poppy bombs it's kind of a risk because you're easy to get kind of dive on after that, and people know your cooldown's going to be done. Niju picks one up and then immediately rolls it out into the King Bomb. Anybody down here to contest? Found me a barrack too for Niu now. Both tanks are dead. The payload is rolling. Drogoz looking for him, spots him out. Not a great matchup. Up in the sky, one more from Niu would do it. Edgem is going to take it. Nice little clean kill there up into the sky. Ozone in some trouble. Nowhere to go, nowhere to react. This one looks like it's going to roll through as a result of the King.
It's definitely going through. Neo takes over. Well, I guess it's technically round number 1, but the first point push here. 2 deaths on their side in this one. The Bomb King coming up in a big way. This King Bomb, I think, surprised him a little bit. I think he knew the barrack was over there, maybe looking for a different target. Kind of settles just for the 1. And then goes toe-to-toe with the Drogoz right after that. And this round number 1, first 2 points, is really just on the back end of a coordinated team fight from Sanguine. I mean, there's so much potential on the side of Zenith. So many different ways that you can turn heads. But when you have a coordinated kind of death ball-y type team, they're all rolling together, they're all communicating properly, they're finding the right targets, and they've just kind of proven, all right, we'll clean up the Torvald first. Mage Monkey was the first one to die in a few of those fights. That's really all the space they needed to end up winning the rest of it. 2-time and space is going to come up a little bit short, but a pretty similar start here from both sides.
Yeah, here comes the Dome Shield up on the high ground as well. Zenith really want to fight for this keep control, shredding through. Talus getting a lot of damage out onto Fernando, but not being too committal. That's the thing here. Torvald allows you to kind of just turn your brain off and go. Here comes the Dragon Punch. Recharged again. Immortals pop. Toa has to call it off, but he's got a great angle on this fight.
He does, looking to find some damage on the back end here. Health bar's going a little bit low now if you're on the side of Sanguine. They're going to get nice and healed up. The Dama doing a good job of keeping them alive. Zenith, though, now they're the ones whose health bars are going the wrong direction. Jalen Sanity is going to drop the barrack. Sanguine going to get themselves back on the point here. And the Torvald Genos combo, nice shots there from Edgem, not missing a single one. Torvald Genos combo, it's not really working out in their favor at the moment.
Yeah, Torvald Talus getting a lot of damage. The only kills for Zenith, but it is what it is. I think it's a wise draft from Sanguine. They almost like you were mentioning Death Ball. It's not the most Death Ball-y thing, but there's not a lot of great targets for that Talus to dive in on.
Right. No, that's more in the traditional sense of the word Death Ball. Definitely not a Death Ball composition, but they're kind of rolling in a mental Death Ball. That's kind of a way to look at it. They're all balled up into one big Sanguine brain right now. They have the same coordinated efforts. They have the same targets.
All
aim doing
Sanguine
a good job of utilizing the worm jets and keeping himself kind of out of sight because Bomb King has been making his life hard.
Before.
Which I guess you're right. It's kind of interesting. Minute and 40 seconds left there. Through time and space is going to clean up Edgem. So Sanguine kind of on the back foot, at least for a moment. Zenith, though, well, they need to find another stop to avoid going down 4-0.
That's the way a jetpack character is meant to be played, you know?
Just up in the air.
He needs to be flying.
Using the jets. You would think so.
Jogoz's worm jets have been so scuffed for so long. Now, it's fine. Hit the gym. Lost a little bit of weight. Now we can just stay flying forever. Here comes the King Bomb. It's going to eat a rocket out of the gate. Almost deleting that barrack. Hyper Beam comes out, but not from a lethal angle. Just an angle to buy time. Edgem. And they're just not fighting very together. Like, Ozone's off by himself right now. Torvald's almost disconnected. A very high fear takes Drogoz out of the sky. An opportunity to slay Toa as he's been grounded. The wings are clipped, and the kill will be found. I love this. Jalen Sanity, or excuse me, Fernando up there getting super, super aggressive. Sanguine and the boys able to find the victory when it's all said and done. Very, very well done. Well put together.
Clean. And I think we always talk about it how Torvald, I guess Genos kind of as well. I mean, the real impact, the real advantage is like early game with that. Once the Wreckers and the Cauterizers start coming online, then your advantage goes away. But Sanguine pretty much had it coordinated.
They put it away in the early game.
Yeah, in the early game, and just all downhill from there.
They showed them everything they got, and it was not even close to enough. Torvald Talus defeated on Stone Keep. One more game, and Sanguine will have this one wrapped up. Let's get it back to the desk and keep rolling.
I mean, they've got what they need as of right now. If you're looking at Sanguine, Zenith, game one, pretty decent. Obviously goes the way of Sanguine. That one was, I think, what everyone expected to see, though.
It's rough, man.
Quick 4-0.
You know what? Looking at that game, my analysis is this. They're just better players on the side of Sanguine right now. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, and maybe let's not make it so permanent. Better players.
True.
Playing better this moment in Paladins, this time of their lives, they're just playing better on the side of Sanguine, and that's just impossible to beat. You don't have a better... They had a actually better draft, I think. I think there are moments where you look at Toa's Drogoz, the positions he was in, with that amount of damage, should have killed 3-4 people. That fight would have been over if he ever got any... He got 0 kills. There were many low players on that one. And yes, it's a complete aspect of how you execute it, but it really is. If you see if Space Station had this draft, and that was FRZ got on that Drogoz, they'd all be dead. And that's something that Ozone missed a lot of shots on Talus. I mean, it wasn't anything except he just missed a lot of shots, and I understand that they're working on it, they're figuring it out, but at least they got the drafting right. I think they actually won there. It's just Sanguine, no, they're not really threatened.
So Nick had called this out at the end of the last game. I think it's worth mentioning here because you're watching highlights of him. Jalen Sanity on Inara reminds me just of the best on Inara, right? When it comes through being able to get this much damage, and I mean, at this point,
he's not.
The fact that he got a highlight reel on a front line is pretty impressive.
I mean, yeah,
that's just the one thing that's going forward with it. He's not doing anything out of the ordinary for Inara. It's nothing revolutionary, right? But people aren't looking at him because he's not meant to be the one that you're looking at. He's not meant to do that much damage. He's just standing there, killing you slowly.
Yeah, killing you softly, right, as Lauren Hill would say. I think the key for me is that not to take away from Jalen Sanity playing great. He's been a great player for a long time. He just has nothing to do. No one's threatening them. When your damage dealers aren't getting any kills, it doesn't. The tank's like, I'm the person who's hardest to kill. You guys aren't even killing the other ones. I'm fine. I'm just going to chill here. So, you know, a little bit of two sides to the same coin there. Ascension Peak as a map should clean it up for me because I think this is a map you really have to understand and also you have to perform on. It's not a map where your draft will just win it for you. You have to perform. There is retake potential. There are hard pushes no matter who you are. And it's really just about executing and finding kills. And that's something that it's going to take a minute for Zenith, I think. I think Toa's potential, I think his champion pool is going to be nice for Zenith. But yeah, still a little nervous, maybe just coming into it, maybe just getting, you know, riled back into the swing of things, but you can't do it like that if you want to win.
Get us out of here alive.
It is the death of the front lines as it comes through. 4 frontline bans picked out through all of that. Ash going first pick, and admittedly it's because there's 4 left. You have to get what you want immediately. Barrack and Nara are still on the table. You could maybe dance around with a different frontline if you want to for Zenith. They're going to go Barrack Genis, try to give themselves, again, that kind of safety net that they had last game, but maybe having it be a little more productive overall.
Yeah, and I think the issue too is when you draft a Genos,
the next time you see my
you're using that damage amp. You're not getting the Genos for the great healing that he does. So if you're not getting kills off of drafting damage amp, off of drafting Torvald damage amp, you're not getting kills. I mean, that is that's where it all really failed. So it's hard to put it all on your shoulders, but that's what it's all about for Torvald. You know, you have to put it on the shoulders of the people you're bubbling. You become much less effective on the front line. It's all about helping your teammates do that.
So this has pretty much nothing to do with the current conversation. Well, it relates to damage amp.
Okay.
But I decided something I want to see. I want to see a Torvald bubble, a Luminary boost, and a Tyra mark with the shot coming from a Kinessa using steady aim.
Gotcha.
And it's the second shot, right? So when she has that boost where it's like 30%, 15%, whatever Tyra mark is on that person, plus the Torvald, like,
this is a calculation.
You can one shot hit them in the toe.
This is a calculation Nick tried to do a long time ago, but it was with the old Eagle Eye, and I think we got to where it would have been like 3,100. It would basically be close to a one-shot kill on a tank, like a barrack kind of a tank. So definitely a lot of damage, that's for sure. But all those things aligning at that one moment, definitely a little harder.
Not easy to do.
A little harder to do, but it has been tested, and I think they did get that. There's a clip of it somewhere, I'm sure. Anyways, interesting draft. I gave you my analysis. I think Sanguine are just playing better at this point, so drafts are cool, but unless Zenith, showed up, it's going to be another 3-0.
Well, they're pretty comfortable. Victor's the only hit scan to maybe deal with this Drogoz that they were able to bring in on the side of Sanguine. So if they're comfortable on Ascension Peak with Drogoz, things might go their way, but Ascension Peak is going to be Zenith's map pick. Let's jump down to Dave and Nick to see how they feel about these drafts.
Thank you, guys. Ready to get into this one. And what are your thoughts? We know the way the desk is leaning. It doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah, I think I agree. I'm on Evan's team on this one. I mean, I think Zenith have put forward a draft that they could win with. But at the end of the day, Sanguine's just playing better Paladins. I think that's the ultimate tried and true. Which way is the game gonna go?
It's a good way to win games with Paladins.
Played better than the other team.
Play better, Forehead.
You know what? Coach Dave played better.
Need to get out there and play hard.
The team who scores more points, well, they're gonna win the game.
Sheesh.
In this case, Sanguine have been the ones scoring more points as such.
Insight for days.
Insight for Dave. Insight from Dave.
For Dave, from Dave, 4 days. It's all here. All here in the booth, guys. Toa, he's got the burst mode Victor. That's really one of the bigger things that have changed about this one. We'll see if he's been able to learn under the watchful eye of Coach Bitey, the world's best Victor player. That's right. You heard it here. Bitey's the best Victor ever.
Putting it out on the line. Toa could surprise us. I mean,
Bitey wouldn't have gotten hit by that salvo.
Salvo.
The coach is fuming right now.
That's unfortunate. Bummer of a way to start off, eating a salvo to the face. And look at this. I mean, Zenith are just immediately pushed off the point. There's enough pressure coming out from Neo on this Drogos. They don't quite have an idea how to deal with it at the moment, and they're just off the point. And it's going to be Ash up on the high ground there. Really locking things down.
Boxing out right now. Another kinetic burst. Big knockback from Flame Effects. 2 people storming the ramp now, Fernando and Cassie. Cassie takes a little bit of damage here, but this is just a war back and forth, almost 2 minutes in. No first bloods. No ultimates really that charge. Everyone playing very, very passive right now. Nobody wanting to be that first blood. It looks like it could be Cassie here. Turn around, couple more shots. Fernando gets in the way. Beautiful turnaround. Ozone stays alive. But everyone on Zenith is so low that it almost doesn't even matter that they got the first blood.
I don't think it does. I mean, you had to look at that. I mean, Ash was up on the high ground there, and there were 2, sometimes 3 heads turned towards her. I mean, she was essentially locking off 3 of the Zenith members at any given time. Unfortunately, goes down, but like you said, the health bars were so low that it lets Sanguine take control of the point, 60% and climbing. Zenith now on the point, 27% for them. Flame Effects is fine just to go right back to the spot. Edgem's going to clean up a kill there for Sanguine. That's going to open up some space for him.
Ooh, big angle here from Edgem. Can he confirm these kills? One more shot on Fernando would do it. Niu finds it up over the shield. A little bit of pressure from Anar here on the barrack. Drops the barricade. Sanguine grabbed the first payload of the game at 2 minutes and 40 seconds in. Ultimates are charged up. Street style Ash looks like she just got knocked off the map, but wants to put herself back on Flame Effects. Forced to pop that ultimate.
Awesome skin.
Looking brand new and shiny.
Shiny and new, to say the least.
Old weapon, though. That's the like space cowboy weapon.
Yeah,
I wanted to see the new weapon, too.
Mix and match.
But I definitely support the mix and match. I'm a big mix and match
all about the mix and match. And then he's going to find himself a kill here. The Dread Serpent's going to come out, buy some space for Sanguine, but it's not going to result in any kills just as of yet. Just a 1-for-1 so far.
Shield much, Barrett?
Honestly, this game is just neither team getting over the top aggressive, just kind of ramming heads into one another.
How many kills have there been thus far? It's only been, it's got to be less than 5 kills total. 3 deaths on the side of Zenith. And
7
2 deaths on the side of Sanguine.
7 kills, 3:45 into a game. I mean, that's not, I don't know, that's neither here nor there, I guess. It's just essentially more of a war of attrition in that, like, Sanguine just kind of has been outlasting Zenith in this case. Edgem finds 3. Hello.
The most dominant fight of this game so far.
That is the most kills in a time frame that we've seen about 4 minutes into this one, definitely.
Big presence there onto the high ground as well. Tank's just now respawning, but big damage already coming through. Before even Barrack can drop his poor little kit, he's half HP and he goes down. Flame Effects puts the nail in the coffin. Now his sights are set on Cassie, but the round will end. Saved by the bell, or so we thought. Ozone gets blasted before he can be safe in the next round. 2 and 3 for the Cassie after round number 1. Sanguine continue their iron march.
You know, Edgem is 6-2 and 1 here. But I have to give my nod to...
But he just picked up 3.
He just picked up 3, right? He was
3-2
and 1. I have to give my nod to Flame Effects. He's playing this so well. He's
agreed
using the Ash kit to its fullest potential. Just prior to that first point fight, he was able to block off 3 members of Zenith. He traded out his life for it, but in the meantime, his team had gotten onto the point, zoned it out effectively, and that really won him the first side. So the slash line isn't the best there for Flame Effects, but I think he is a big difference maker in the way things have worked out so far. Some ultimates ready, almost all 5 for Sanguine. I'm not quite sure how Edgem immediately gets deleted here, but Zenith have found themselves in space.
There it is. Fear comes out as well, just to try and slow down the approach. Baller Steve being forced out of this fight. No one's got healing right now because Maldamba is not around. Big stun from Flame Effects just to try and keep this one together. He's been playing so well on Ascension Peak. Edgem's finally back, despite losing first blood this round, despite being down a man the entire time. Sanguine is fighting back beautifully.
Zenith found themselves some fast cap percentage. But it's not enough to win the fight. Unfortunately, you have to get some kills as well. And they did find a couple. Edgem goes down for a second time in this round here. But he put out enough damage, found enough kills. The scout's going to come out and buy some vision here. So this is Zenith really, this is their shot to get in. They have the Drogo spotted out. They know where he is. They're not going to get caught off guard by a lot of that mobility. Flame Effects is going to keep himself alive. Here's the Dragon Punch, but where's he going to go with it? He's flying up high right now. Ends up canceling it out. I don't mind that, just keeping himself alive. But Sanguine are the ones who find themselves on the point.
Gets in the face of Victor real quick. What level of propel is this man running in his loadout? He got in there. Only level 3, too. Just completely dived on it. Very balanced loadout. That's kind of the name of the game for Drogos, though. Nowadays, you're just flying around and using your kit. A little bit of health, a little bit of flight, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you're kind of doing your thing.
And this is a much better... I really liked... Drogos in the last, I guess it was Toa who was playing Drogos, I think, last game for Zenith. I thought he did a pretty good job. Found some new spots that we weren't really used to seeing Drogos fly. But this is really where Drogos succeeds, when you have the rest of the team that's able to keep eyes off of you. You can just kind of free fly, free fire. Neo's doing exactly that right now. And he's showing why Drogos is one of the more contested picks potentially on this map.
Jalen gets in there. Victor has just kind of been getting sat on. Flame Effects is a lot to thank for that. On an 11 streak, with how aggro he's playing, is pretty damn impressive and goes to show you where Sanguine are in this matchup right now. 1:36 on the clock. They're only going to need about another 10 seconds unless this payload starts to be contested. But the angle that Flame Effects is playing from, he's looking like he wants to knock somebody off the map.
Almost does it right there onto the Fernando. Mage Monkey keeps himself around. So this is stalled out for the moment. 1 minute and 20 seconds left here. Sanguine have the Dragon Punch as well as the Seismic Crash. And here is going to be the Seismic Crash. Good for a couple stuns, but there's no follow-up damage at the moment. But there's Neo. He comes around the corner, drops one for himself. There's some more juicy targets. This one could be going through with some more aggression.
Edgem literally just got back to the fight. Just got laser beamed back home. Again, Salvo will find some damage on the Victor. Dragon Punch is ready. The Dome Shield comes out as well, but the theme of all of this is that Sanguine just have the time to spare, baby. Yep. Time is a luxury that they have got plenty of.
There's still 45 seconds. Here's a Dragon Punch. This could be a game ender depending on who it goes into. He's gonna just find some vision, get himself out. I think he realized he probably would have traded out his life on that one. That's not a risk he's willing to take. Instead, he backs off, finds a kill, and then he goes down. Here comes the barrage as well. This could be the final push for Sanguine.
There it is, 24 seconds. Edgem versus Ozone here. Edgem gets the kill. Stun, not good. Knockback, is it? It is. Victor out into the blender. Gets feared mid-air. Poor guy, just nothing to do there. When Barrack falls, this payload will roll through. Support diving in now. The conga line begins and ends with a Sanguine victory here. 3 games straight has been the theme of the day. Yep. I'll be honest, I don't see it really changing much. The way
technically, set number 1 is a 3-2.
Technically, you are right. Guys, let's get it back up to the desk and get ready for our final set of the day.
Beat by a technicality that we have technically a 3-2 scoreline from today.
Yes.
But it's been nothing but sweeps week. So far,
sweeps week,
3-0 when they DQ'd 2 games in a row, then 3-0, and then 3-0 coming in here. And I think it comes down to, the exact same thing you just said after the last game. Sanguine played it better than Zenith. Zenith are showing a lot more promise, I want to say, this week, but the same thing that's going on with Bork, which I think we can dive into once that set starts, it's kind of been going on here. It's just been almost constant roster turmoil.
Sure.
If they can hold up with this lineup, I think they have a pretty good chance of just improving constantly.
I agree. And Flame, he did a good job holding off the difficult choke of that left side, only dying once. That was actually very impressive. Niju gets the Drogos. He goes positive, 7, 4, and 5, contributing 13 kills. And you see Edgem there, really the cleanup crew for that, 12 and 7, 19 eliminations for him. That means that they've just been a part of a lot of these deaths. Also, shout out to Jalen Sanity, who actually contributing to 16 elims and 0 deaths on the day, as well as Baller Steve, who had that 18. Plus, he's just healing everybody while they're getting kills, meaning it's a lot easier to get kills thanks to Mr. Steve.
I mean, kind of keeping them going. There's actually a point very early on in the second round where Baller Steve gets pressured out pretty heavily. One shot, I believe, away from death. Fernando kind of goes and dives maybe too
that's a
deep
good play.
to try and get him. But
that's a good play.
This was Flame's show all day long. Not only being able to do that, but there's actually a moment at the very end we might be able to get it. He leaps up here, he body blocks Toa and knocks him away. He doesn't let him get in to go for the healing, and
Toa's like, why
he
me?
never hits the ground.
Why me? I didn't deserve this. This Assert Dominance was for you. You had to Void Grip him, didn't you?
And it just had to let him up there.
That Void Grip sometimes make them worse.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen... There are very few
It's not just a
Ash ults.
guarantee, don't ult. Like, it might be better. I mean, she's going to ult anyways. Can you kill her?
I think I'd give it 50-50, right? If you get Void Gripped in an Ash ult, there's a 50% chance it's going to help your team and a 50% chance it's going to hurt you more.
Here's the determining factor. Where is her health when you Void Grip her?
True.
Because if you can't kill her and she's going to land full health from a higher vantage point on whoever she wants, I mean, you're delaying the inevitable at that point.
It is a deadly area to be in. But, hey, Sanguine, take it out in 3. They do exactly what they need to do to be able to kind of keep pushing themselves forward. And I believe if they were still at the top, so it's not going to be a chance yet for them to be caught. I believe they go up to 15, but that's going to do it for their set. We still have Nation of Power versus Bork coming up soon, so just take a quick break, grab a drink, come back, and we'll be right back.
Paladins Minor League, brought to you by Skillshot, High Res, Evil Mojo, INAP, Steel Series, and Respawn.